This demo covers a few examples of how software and technology companies use Workday Adaptive Planning to model sales rep productivity. This is a huge area of focus for these companies as they launch new products, enter new markets, and try to grow and scale the organization. It's also incredibly important as finance and sales try to stay aligned on solving these problems. We've seen customers take a range of approaches that vary in terms of complexity. Organizations that have smaller sales teams and where maybe finance is doing a greater portion of the modeling directly tend to prefer a little bit simpler approach, as you see here with a set of metrics down the left-hand side around rep, quota, capacity, and maybe a handful of dimensional segments, but one that lives within the broader corporate FP&A model directly. Potentially just a sheet that would be shared with sales managers. While organizations that have larger sales teams and where a sales ops organization is handling the lion's share of the modeling tend to prefer actually spinning up a whole separate model. Here you can see a much more sophisticated sales planning model, in this case one that would be administered by typically the sales ops team directly, that begins with a target setting exercise, which can also actually pass data to and from the core FP&A model, then undertakes a set of allocations and splits to push those targets down across the various regions. In our example here, we'll just simulate a change in the bookings target here. If we take this up slightly, we can see the headcount delta creates a problem. So we have a shortfall gap that we now need to make up. In this case, a little under 3 million of bookings and roughly 4 heads. And so what the sales team would look to accomplish would be to plug that gap by tweaking assumptions. So they may start here by changing quotas, raising them slightly, and then look to see the impact that that's had. In this case, shaves it down to just under 2 million and a delta of 3 heads. So they've got some continued work to do. So now perhaps we could undertake some productivity improvement, training programs, and kind of model those. And so that's made a little more of a dent. We could then turn to things like looking at our ramp schedules and adjust those. In this case, we'll assume the SMB reps ramp a little bit faster. And it looks like we're not quite there yet, so we may end up actually having to hire some more heads. So we can go ahead and do that as well. And now it looks like we've managed to deploy enough quota to ensure that our detailed operational plan syncs up with the revised bookings targets that we got from finance.